Today marks the 20th anniversary of Parasite Eve. The original game debuted on March 29th, 1998 in Japan. Normally, I would wait until the North American release to celebrate, but the September is pretty heavy for retrospectives. Plus, the game is a lot older than that, technically. It started out as a Japanese novel, which was published in 1995. Now, the game and book have very little to do with each other, besides the fact that mitochondria and an alien entity known as Eve play important roles. There was also a film adaptation of the novel that came out in North America on August 14, 2001. There's also a manga adaptation, but that was actually based on the game. Non-game media aside, let's get to the meat of this retrospective, the games. Now, my first introduction to the game was in Toys R Us. The game was buried in a bin of PS1 games marked for $20. It had Square stuff on the title, so I was sold. And seeing as my dad was cool, he let me buy it even though it was rated M and I was only 12. Parasite Eve begins at an opera where police officer Aya Brea is attending. Midway through, everyone in the theater bursts into flames, yet she somehow survives. Still, such an excellent opening to this day. The rest is a mystery on how she's developing powers, as well as what exactly this Eve entity is, and how it can transform animals into monsters. The game is a combination of survival horror and action RPGs. Running around various environments in New York City will trigger random battles. Aya is able to run around the battlefield and dodge enemy attacks. Combat then pauses while you decide what to do, similar to Fallout 4's VAT system, for a more modern comparison. You can attack with guns, various melee weapons, or spells you gain as you level up and evolve your mitochondria. It's still one of my favorite combat systems, not just in a Square game, but also RPGs overall. I love this game so much for a variety of factors. It hit me at a young age when I ate up more gritty content. It took place in a modern setting. I was actually learning about mitochondria during this time in school coincidentally, and it's also just plain excellent, devoid of my personal history. Fast forward about a year later, when I was perusing through the new Best Buy ad and almost lost my jaw, it fell so hard. Parasite Eve 2 was coming out that week. I could not believe it. Flyers from Best Buy, Target, and others are actually how I found out about new games since I didn't subscribe to any magazines, and 2000 was still a rough year for the internet. I had to wait to get it, but thankfully not long because my birthday was just a month later. It's, how should I put this? Was strange. While it starred Aya Brea, everything about the first game was seemingly tossed out the window. She's now with the FBI, and while there are still some RPG elements, it's more akin to Resident Evil. Enemies roam around the environment openly, and while things pause initially to start combat, there's no gauge determining when Aya can attack. Instead of mutated animals infested with mitochondria, you're facing off against biomutants cooked up in a lab. Again, very Resident Evil inspired. As a huge fan of the first, I still enjoyed it, but it felt oddly disconnected in a way I wasn't expecting. For that matter, the first game wrapped up with a neat little bow, so it was a miracle this was even made at all. While 2 gave me weird feelings, it was nothing compared to my reaction I had to the next game, The Third Birthday. The gap between 2 and 3 was over a decade. I was ecstatic, but also hesitant with the name. Many believe that the name was changed due to Square Enix losing the rights to the novel, so they couldn't use the name Parasite Eve in an official capacity. Though officially Square Enix has said that they just wanted to reboot Aya Brea. Why bother using Aya then, since you changed literally everything besides her name? She doesn't even feel like the same person. It's like what happened to Samus in Metroid Other M. That aside, the game is back in New York City, and Aya works for a mysterious company that has a system that lets her dive into the minds of the past. An incident killing almost everyone in the city with beings known as the Twisted happened, and sending Aya back with them somehow lets her rewrite history and or explain how things came to be. It's kind of unclear how things work. That's strange, but stranger yet is her health system. Get hit and her outfit gets torn, and I mean a lot. It's pervy. Aya is not the brave woman who she used to be. If it was its own thing, then maybe I would have liked it more. Needless to say, as it stands though, I was not pleased. So where does that leave us now? Since The Third Birthday, the series has been dormant. The first and second game is available on PSN for $6 a piece, which is a steal. You can only play it on your PS3, PSP, or PS Vita, but if you have either of those lying around and you've never played them before, I highly recommend it, especially one if it wasn't obvious. If you're curious, the third birthday is only $10 and you can play it on your PSP or Vita. So the future is bleak, but regardless of which, nothing will tarnish my love of the first game. Happy anniversary, Parasite Eve. Hopefully, we'll see you again soon. My name is Tristan, and you've been watching ReActionExaminer, wherein I do my best to create interesting videos to entertain and educate you fine folks. Be sure to subscribe, that helped me out a lot. And if you want to check out more, be sure to read my work over on The Gamer, wherein I write fun little listicles. You can also drop by my personal website, GameJerk, wherein I post other articles and reviews. All these links and more can be found in the description below. Thanks, and see you all next time.